should be here. She should be. The switch of them. It's really blessed. Totally blessed. There was together. Been working on my crown. I missed that. So what is your expectation?
He will. We hope. Now look, it's the whatever. I don't know. I'm voting, so I ain't got no way to be out there.
These chairs are a big mistake. I hate this chair.
Oh, yeah, I know you keep busy. Steve got on.
They're too big and bulky.
You can take 5 minutes.
Okay. The other ones are smaller and lighter weight. Too bulky. I think they're too bulky. Is Mr. Gillett up there? Do you see Michael up there? Testing 1, 2. You see him? His truck was out there.
He's here.
Oh, I see. I think he could hear me. I think he heard me. It is now 5:29. We're going to make ready to begin our council meeting for this evening, November 4th, 2024. We thank you all for being here. We always open up with our public speakers who are speaking to agenda items, and tonight we have 3 people who have signed up. The first one is, well, yeah, let's start with those. It's 5:29. I guess I should wait till 5:30. I'm getting ahead of myself here. As I was saying, we have 3 speakers tonight speaking to agenda items, and then we have 1 person who has signed up to speak to a non-agenda item. Our first speaker is speaking on agenda item number 6. She's speaking against agenda item number 6. And that speaker is Teresa Blutman. Is Miss Blutman here? Okay. Come on up. Is it 2 minutes? We have 3.
2 minutes.
Okay, yeah. Okay, Miss Blutman, you have 2 minutes.
Okay.
Thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me and entertaining my issue today. To all of the council persons.
Ms. Blubman, could you hold 1 second? Mike, can you turn that mic up? Ma'am, can you speak into the mic?
Kind of step over and direct that mic out. Okay, thank you.
Are you all able to hear me now?
Yes. Much better.
Okay. To the council persons, thank you for entertaining my issue. I came and visited, I went to pay my taxes on October 15th, at which time I was told I could not pay my taxes because there were liens on my property. I was informed there were 3 liens on 3 separate lots. I was directed to speak with Mr. Lockett at Code Enforcement. Visited with Mr. Lockett. Mr. Lockett, I identified the 3 lot numbers to him, at which time he advised me that there was no lien on 1 property, but there was 1 on the remaining 2 lots. And he directed me to Mayor Washington's office to speak with Ms. Hall in terms of getting the administrative fee waived. My issue with that whole situation is because these were liens that are dated 2020. I never received any notice from code enforcement or from any department that I had any liens on there. In addition, I had paid my property taxes in 2020, 2021, 2022. They're paid up. There's no lien reflected on any of those. So how a 2020 lien just appeared in 2024 is a problem because there was no notice. After Ms. Hall responded back to me and advised that the administrative fees would be waived, but could not do anything about the existing liens. In addition to that, 4 days later, the next day on Friday, Ms. Hall sent that email to me saying that those administrative fees would be waived off of 2 of the properties. However, she was advised that there were 10 additional liens on 2 new lots, which I never received notice of that. And that's how I ended up here today, because she told me I could come and have those issues addressed before you all. So I'm here on those. I was told that Mr. Lockett had presented the council with a copy of that information that would be addressed to before the committee today. And so on the sheet that Ms. Hall emailed over to me, which I had never seen any of that, no notice of that, it indicates that there are 2 properties that would be before the board today so that they could proceed on and have a lien filed. And do you have those in front of you? If you would, look at those first.
We would have to have those addresses. Now, we do have a document that has a lot of properties listed on it.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you, ma'am.
We'd have to have your addresses, the property addresses. We do have
Yes, well,
a document.
Okay.
This is my first knowledge,
oh,
personally, of any of this, actually.
Oh, okay.
Ms. Hall may have been working with Mr. Lockett on it. She does work with code enforcement on matters of this nature many times.
okay. Well, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
I'm not clear on, you said first there were 2 liens.
There were 2
And
liens
then-
on 2 separate properties. And do you need those lot numbers? Those lot numbers are,
I have a question.
yes.
Is it under your name or a different name?
The properties, some of them are under my name, but the others would have et al., and they say, attention Teresa Blubman, because I'm the administrator over those properties.
Okay, there was a total of 10 properties,
There's a total of 10 liens.
10 liens.
Uh-huh.
But 10 liens, and some of them may be multiple liens on the same property? So are they 10 different properties?
There are 7 different properties.
7 different properties?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay,
There's some of
so
those.
if you look on the schedule that I received, it says that property number 930-61876, which is a Spruce Street address. And that 803 South Spruce, and you should have that in front of you.
Okay.
And on that one, if you look on there, it's clear that I didn't receive notice on that. If you look at that document,
I'm not seeing you at all on my document, so I'm just not seeing it. You said, what was the number?
the address, the property number is 930-61876. And the physical address is 803 Spruce Street.
Hold on, because it's quite a few
And
pages.
can we make I'm gonna say that if you all would, look at this a lot closer. That family's from my ward, the 4th ward, and I wanna make sure that they get the right representation and what they need to do. If they don't, let me know.
Ms. Blubman, this is going to be more than we can address in this setting at this time. So what I'm going to ask you to do is to call my office tomorrow morning, or I have a number here on my paper that I think might be your phone number. We can call you in the morning and schedule a time that we can sit down with you and look at all this very carefully. We'll also look at the liens of the documents when we get to that in this meeting, when we get to ordinances and resolutions, and see if we can find those properties that might belong to you at that time.
Ms.
So,
Woodman.
Councilmember.
because I don't see your name. What I see is Eagle John T. Is that someone you're representing, that for 803 South Spruce?
As I indicated, some of the properties are listed as John T. and Mary, et al. I am the et al.
Okay.
And the mailing address for every one of those properties is my P.O. box.
Okay, because I see two right
And you have been getting notices at that P.O. box.
I've received notices from everything at that P.O. box for the last 25 years. That is a good P.O. box. Yes. So let me be clear, Ms. Washington, are you suggesting, I think I heard you say two things. One, this is more than the council is prepared to address presently?
At this time.
Okay,
At this time, you've made us
because,
aware. And
I'm
so
sorry?
You have made us aware of the issue, but we need to have a separate meeting to sit down and address each one of them.
okay,
Okay.
well,
And I apologize for, what you've gone through, but I think Mrs. Hall and Mr. Lockett, the director, were trying to work this out. I'm assuming. I don't know. I know they were trying to, if they met with you.
they didn't meet with me collaboratively.
But Rhonda
It
Hall
was
did.
individually. I met with Ms. Hall this past Friday
Okay.
on 2 lots, because
Okay.
that's all that I had noticed existed, which I took issue with that because those were 2020 liens that I
Okay.
just found out about when I went to pay my taxes, and I was not unable to pay them because they said there are 2 liens on there. And however, those liens are not reflected on last year's taxes or the year before. This year, I'm not able to pay because it says delinquent taxes. And so that's what started the whole process.
We'll be able to meet with you Tuesday or Wednesday. And I'd like for you to just let us know if that's either one of those days will be available for you. And if not, we'll have to go over into next week.
No, Tuesday, what day and time on Tuesday?
Well, call us in the morning, or we'll call you tomorrow morning and we'll schedule a time. And we'll
So-
call you after 8 tomorrow morning.
Okay, so none of my issues will be addressed today, and in fact, on the email that I received.
Some of your issues might be addressed tonight, but it'll be at a time when we get to that agenda item with those items listed on that agenda.
Okay, so I was called up here right now
Ma'am?
I was called to come to the front for not to discuss my issues?
Well, you've made us aware of what's going on, but we can't discuss those issues since it's so detailed, in complete detail, to resolve all the issues at this time.
But,
And this is a public speaking time, you're making us aware, but there's no way that we could go through all the paperwork. We don't have everything before us tonight that we might need to bring resolution, complete resolution.
well, I was told on Friday that Mr. Lockett had prepared a whole packet for you all, for the panel, the councilmen, to have my issue addressed. And I went over to his office and received a copy of that entire packet that he submitted for the panel, the council, to review so that I could be prepared. In fact, Ms. Hall advised or directed me to go back over to his office to get a copy of everything that he prepared for the council to address on today.
May I say something? I just quickly went, I'm sorry, man. I just quickly went through here, and I only see 2 John T. Eagle et al. On this list, this complete packet. I only see 2, so that's the only name the properties would be under?
Properties are under
And I
John
looked at
T.
the amendment too. So
John T. and Mary Eagle, or John T. et al., or
is
Teresa
the-
Bloodman, or Teresa Eagle Bloodman.
I don't see Bloodman at all. I only see Eagle. The only Eagles, because they're in alphabetical order. So the only 2 that I see is the 2 that's right here. And to answer your other question, the reason why you're up here is because you asked to speak. So before the city council meeting, we allow those that want to speak on agenda items to speak first about what's on the agenda. And then when we get to those items, we try to address whatever is dealing with those things at that time.
Well, I like to say that they're a part of the 4th Ward, and she needs the help that she needs. And Pastor Lockett, you have something to say about this?
Yes, I can. May.
I only see two. I don't see anything else.
The statement that's being made tonight is that she did come into the office,
What
and
about the microphone so y'all can?
she did make us aware that there was a lien from 2020, and we called down to the courthouse to find out why it was put on there. And Mr. Tony could not give us an explanation why it showed up in 2024 when it should have showed up in 2020. So what we did was trying to litigate some of it, some of the costs, to help her to pay her taxes. And then while we was going through, I had Miss Christie to run some reports to look and see did she have anything else. And come to find out there were some more that was dated from I believe 22, 23, where we have cut the lots.
But the liens are filed in your office.
Yes, ma'am.
So I'm not understanding how.
Yeah, that's,
2020
that is one of those things that we talked to Mr. Tony about, because we have 30 days to get them out. And so he don't know why. He couldn't give us an explanation, but it did not come from our office, the current one. We don't know where it came from. We could not get a full explanation out of him down there.
Okay, I know that's done at the courthouse.
So,
Ms. Bloodman, again, I'm going to ask you if you'll bear with us, and let's schedule a time that we can meet with you tomorrow or Wednesday. So we'll call you first thing in the morning and see what works best for you. And I apologize for that, but with all due respect, I want to give you due diligence and make sure that we get to the bottom of this. And so it's going to be critical that we have Mr. Lockett in the room, that we can talk to the folk at the Jefferson County Courthouse if we need to tomorrow during that time. We may visit with them before your meeting so we can maybe have all the information, hopefully, that we need to bring resolution.
Okay, but the liens didn't come from the tax collector's office. The liens were from code enforcement. Code enforcement does not have these anywhere in their files. And so, but now they're appearing, 2020 liens are appearing. And there are
Right.
10 liens that now,
And that's
since
the
I
research
made an
we need to
issue
do.
of it, now 10 additional ones have been put on a letter that was sent to Ms. Hall. Again, that's not notice to me. That's not actual notice. I haven't received constructive notice. I haven't received any notice.
I understand.
Okay?
can y'all keep me informed on what's going on? And I got y'all back. If you all can just help them to solve this, I think they'll be more satisfied. Let me know.
Okay, thank you. So,
Okay. You're the executor of this property. What is your relationship?
John T. Eagle is my father.
Okay.
Uh-huh.
That's what I was assuming. I just wanted to make
He
sure.
is, my name is Teresa Eagle Bloodman. I'm his daughter.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay, so just so I'll be clear, am I coming back up later when Mr. Lockett comes up to address, he has two items, two properties listed for today on the docket.
You may need to, you may not need to. We'll let you know at such time. Let me get to that. We'll let you know.
Okay.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Our next speaker is Mr. Julius Lever, speaking to agenda item number 1.
I'd like to tell you something I think is imperative that you know before I speak. Real quickly, the highest ranking educational personnel in the city of Pine Bluff, the interim chancellor of the University of Arkansas at Pine Bluff, I understand, told a businessman 70 years of age whose daddy was in business when he was born, or around the time he was born, so he's been in business all his life. He said to me, the chancellor came to me, I did some work for her, but she said 3 weeks ago, this was right before homecoming, she checked the hotel. The hotel's charge, she said, she stays in Little Rock, but she works in Pine Bluff. So she wanted to stay in Pine Bluff for the whole, basically, homecoming week. So she checked and the cost to stay several weeks ago was $100 and something a night. She called 7 days later, it had changed to $200 and something a night. She called before homecoming, it was $300 or something a night. So she decided, instead of coming back and forth, she'd stay in her home in Little Rock. I think that is part of the problem, because we're not making it even reasonable for our chancellor of the 1873 built school for African Americans, the chancellor, interim chancellor, to stay with comfort in our city. I'm asking, basically I don't want an answer, how many dollars in taxes will she have paid because of the A&P tax? That's something that I want you to think about. I want to now like to speak. How does one tax punish Arkansas small businesses? These taxes are locally imposed taxes on prepared food and or short-term rentals, including hotels and meeting spaces, all across the state in many cities. While proponents of these taxes are quick to frame them as pro-economic development because the dollars are set aside for advertising and promotion of local cities and counties, in reality, A&P taxes are punishment on Arkansans who choose to support local small businesses, particularly low-income folks. By extension, A&P are a punishment on small business themselves. Sure, business pass the cost to its consumers, but these taxes arbitrarily raise their prices and hurt mom and pop all over the state. It is not just tourists paying the price. It is everyday Arkansans when they dine out with their families, plan a night away with loved ones, and support Arkansas small business. You get the picture? The nightmare. And not one Arkansas small business owner should be having to deal with. Local governments are getting rich off of these food and outgoing taxes, lodging taxes. In 2021, more than 2/3 of Arkansas cities with A&P taxes reported revenue increases relative to pre-pandemic levels. This is all at a time while Arkansans are dealing with record inflation and grocery costs that have soared by nearly 15%. Arkansas tax system squeezes the poor, goes easy on the rich. A recent report by the Institute on Taxation and Economic Policy, a D.C.-based think tank, says Arkansas is among the 10 most...
Mr. Lieber,
Yes.
your time expired some
Yes,
time ago.
I will sum it up. Basically, from what it appears, there are some that have great plans for the city of Pine Bluff and Jefferson County, as they did 150 years ago. But they set up a plan where African Americans will be poor at the end. And many agree across the nation that that has happened, and it appears because of things like higher real estate taxes when the property is not nearly sellable as it was before, like taxes for a school system that's seemingly high when there's a shrinking population. And the fact that this idea of saying to small businesses that might not make $100 on an event, that if you don't pay by the 20th, you have until you will be fined the minimum of $500, the maximum of $1,000, and you can be put in jail for as many as 30 days or both. I think is an indication that what I have described, the fact that there are powerful people that planning to make this a very prosperous city, but not for African Americans, is the reason why I cannot be for this bill at this time. And I hope each of you will not do like some believe, and that's vote the way you've already decided to vote. vote the way you're being told to vote, because there is something called voluntary slavery, where a person will act in their own, not in their own best interest, but in the interest of others. Thank you for allowing me to speak, and please forgive me for staying. Yes, sir, Mr. Mays.
Just hold on.
Yes, sir.
You know, I read over this ordinance. He's in my ward as well.
Yes, sir.
And, you know.
And grew up not too long for you.
And
Far from you.
I am not going to support this stuff. This right here. This is highway robbery. I'm gonna leave it at that.
And may I respond to what you said? The change takes away what was before. What was before is if you don't pay by the 20th, you had until the 1st of the next month to pay. But this bill is saying if you don't pay by the 20th, you are already committing an offense that you can be charged $500. So the net effect is some people that didn't know about the tax, once they're here in another city, you can't go there because they're going to pick me up or give me a citation. I think basically it asks many questions that seemingly are unanswered, and I'd like for you all to ponder.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
One more thing, Ms. May. Why bring it up now when the next mayor is only months away? One of the reasons why is because Arkansas just made a decision, I can show you, that no city can have this thrust upon them unless they voted in. And not until this time it occurred. So that means this was put on the people without the people having a participation. And the Arkansas legislature has changed the law. That's the reason why it's being done today. Thank you.
Our next speaker is Mr. John Finley, speaking against item number 6.
$89,617.84. That is the amount of all the liens you're going to put on properties tonight. That's coming out of people's pockets, some of the most vulnerable people's pockets. People that may be out of state for some reason, maybe had a parent die, are possibly thinking about coming to Pine Bluff. This is a barrier to entry. This is a barrier that's going to stop people from coming back. If they don't pay this, they won't come back. They'll lose their property. There will be no reason for them to want to have anything to do with Pine Bluff again. They will turn their back and never look back. They will see Pine Bluff as a cheating, lying, thieving place that took their property because they won't be able to pay their taxes. They will lose their property because of this. Keep that in mind. This is not the right way to be handling this kind of business. This money is coming out of people's pockets. They could be spending that on things for their kids. Who knows what they'd be spending it on? They're not going to be able to do that because of the city. It's not right. Keep this number in mind. I'm going to put it up here. You're going to see this all night, this number, because this is what you're costing people. $89,617.84.
John, now speak, Mayor. I'm looking at this. I see 3 properties on here.
Yeah,
So I understand what you're saying.
yeah.
Why don't you? I mean, do you owe the taxes like on this here form? Do you owe the taxes?
I was not able to pay the taxes on those properties because of these liens, because of some of the liens that are on my property. I had $37,000 worth of liens that I'm not paying. I'm not going to pay those liens. That prevented me from paying taxes on a lot of properties that I own here in Pine Bluff. And that gives me absolutely no incentive to do anything with those properties for the next 5 years. I can't pay the liens. I'm not going to pay these liens.
You talk with the city attorney?
Huh?
You talk with the city attorney's office?
Well, I have talked to Patrick Lockett. Last year, I believe, I gave him a notice, written notice, that I did not want code enforcement on my properties. I did not want them mowing my properties. I did not want anything happening on my properties without a court order. If they're going to come on my property and do anything on my properties, I wanted the proper channels to be gone through. I wanted court orders. If you're going to do something and charge me money, I want the proper procedures followed, and I want a court order. And I never got any of that.
So are you saying that none of your properties before mowing was done were posted?
I'm saying I don't think that I did not want that happening. I had stuff on my properties. You know, when you mow over a sapling, that's a tree, right? A tree. According to code enforcement, you're not supposed to be cutting trees. Any tree that you cut, the city needs to be replacing, even if it's a little sapling. If it can grow into a tree and the city cuts it, you've destroyed a tree that was growing on my property. Okay? I don't want that happening on my properties. I want trees to grow. And when you come and you just arbitrarily mow, it destroys the saplings that are growing there. I don't want code enforcement mowing my properties. If they're going to do it, I'm going to fight it. And I will fight it. I will fight it all the way up to the Supreme Court if I have to. Because guess what? That's cheaper than paying the liens. It's cheaper for me to fight this in court all the way to the Supreme Court than pay the liens on my properties right now.
So why were the properties not taken care of?
But not taken care of? You're going to say what they were taken care of to my satisfaction, and I'm the property owner. So you don't necessarily get a say in what I do on my property. That's my philosophy. I own the property. I do what I want on it. Okay? Just because you don't like the way it looks doesn't give you the right to do whatever you want on my property and then charge me for it.
Mr.
Okay?
Kennedy? Thank you. Thank you, sir.
Look at this number all night.
We see your number. Thank you. Mr. Finley is our last speaker for tonight. We're going to move into our meeting and call our meeting to order. We have with us tonight the Reverend Aaron Barnes of New Home Missionary Baptist Church, who's going to bring our invocation. We're going to ask you to stand for the invocation and remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Let us pray. God, how excellent is your name in all the earth. We come now, God, we say thank you for this privilege. Thank you for another day, your protection of our lives. Come now, God, we say thank you for our mayor and all these city officials tonight. And we ask you that as they engage in the business of our city, that you will unite their minds and their hearts right now. We pray, God, for unity tonight. And God, we ask you to do what only you can do. It is in Jesus' name we do pray. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. You may be seated. Thank you, Reverend Barnes. Thank you so much for that beautiful prayer. At this time, we're going to ask the clerk for a roll call.
Councilmember Mays,
Here.
Councilmember Holcomb,
Here.
Councilmember Brown Jr.,
Here.
Councilmember Lockett,
Here.
Councilmember Brown Sr.,
Here.
Councilmember Shaner,
Here.
Councilmember Frazier,
Here.
Councilmember Brunson.
Here.
Okay. Everybody's present tonight. I don't think we even have anybody on Zoom. We're all here. Each of you should have a copy of the October 21 minutes. It's been properly moved in seconds that the October 21 minutes be approved as presented. All in favor, let it be known by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? The minutes stand approved. Moving into our committee reports, our first report will come from Councilmember Mays, Ways and Means, with Councilmember Brown Jr. substituting.
Thank you, Mayor. Ways and Means met just before this council meeting. Tonight, we have 3 budget adjustments for the council to consider. First budget adjustment comes from Community Development. It's for the Delta Rhythm and Bayous Cultural District. The total budget adjustment is $1,409,416. This is coming from the 2017 sales tax transfer, and it is going to salaries as well as project expenses for that project. I move that we approve this budget adjustment.
Second. It's been properly moved and second that a budget adjustment in the going to the Delta Rhythm and Bayous Cultural District in the amount of $1,409,416 be approved. The floor is open for discussion. Any questions? Hearing none, all in favor of this budget adjustment, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Budget adjustment approved.
Next budget adjustment is coming from transfers for GVI. The total budget adjustment is $3,000. This is a grant that was received. It's coming from grant revenue and is going to GVI expense to use those grant funds. I move that we approve this budget adjustment.
Second.
It has been properly moved in second that a grant going to GVI coming from the Arkansas Community Foundation in the amount of $3,000 be approved. The floor is open for discussion. Any questions?
I'd like to say Pastor Crumpton is doing a great job with this as well.
Okay.
It really is.
Any other comments, questions? Hearing none, all in favor of this budget adjustment, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Budget adjustment approved.
Last budget adjustment for the evening is coming from various departments: police, city attorney, human resources, and executive building maintenance. The total budget adjustment is $52,500. This is all coming from each department's budget. I move that we approve this budget adjustment.
Second.
It's been moved and properly second that a budget adjustment department request, I think this is going to, most of it maintenance, in the amount of $2,500 be approved. The floor is open for discussion.
Oh, which?
And this is in general fund. I'm sorry.
No, we're on the
Where?
52,500.
Where am I?
That's the total budget adjustment.
This one right here.
On this one, we have all the
52.
all those.
Oh, that
departments.
looks like a dollar sign.
It did, didn't it?
I thought that was a dollar sign. Okay, I got it. 52,500 coming from various departments be approved. Okay. The floor is open for discussion.
I had one on the support programs up under the police. The support programs for $20,000. What is that?
Councilman Mays, turn to that second page right here under there, and it tells you some of those events and programs that they have.
Yeah, but it still wasn't totally clear.
Well, it's for the programs, the support programs, meaning programs such as the Fall Festival, the Thanksgiving Day activity, the Christmas Parade, shop, and those things that are, I think, are under the service department due to increase in costs of presenting all those each year. They're asking for $20,000. Okay. Any other questions? Hearing none. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of this budget adjustment, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Budget adjustment number 3 approved.
Mayor, that concludes all the budget adjustments for Ways and Means.
Okay, thank you, Councilmember Graham. Next, we'll move to ordinances and resolutions. Councilmember Mays with Councilmember Holcomb substituting.
Thank you, Mayor. Agenda item number 1 will be completed tonight. Agenda item number 2 we will complete tonight. All of you should have before you Agenda item 2A, an ordinance providing for the zoning of certain territory in the city of Pine Bluff, Arkansas, 3300 block of Taylor Phillips Road. I move that this ordinance be added to the agenda.
Second.
I'm sorry.
On this,
Yes, sir.
legislation 2A, Section 1, there's a typographical error. It should read AR Agriculture as reflected in the attachments. It should not read R3 Residential. So we need to make, I'll make that correction when I read it, but I just want to,
Where is that?
Line 10.
Line 10.
Section 1,
Okay, where it says R3 residential, it should be agricultural.
AR Agriculture, correct.
AR Agriculture. Yes, ma'am.
Agriculture Residential, I'm sorry.
Yes, ma'am. Okay.
Just so everyone is aware of what it should say, AR.
Yes, ma'am.
I think Councilmember Holcomb made a motion. I made a second
And this is going to be,
to add it to the agenda.
2A.
okay, it's been moved and properly second that we add ordinance 2A to the agenda. Can we get a roll call, please? I'm sorry. You don't have this? Oh, mine was up here. Does anybody have an extra copy? Do you have an extra copy of that?
Councilmember Mays.
Aye.
Councilmember Holcomb.
Aye.
Councilmember Brown Jr.
Aye.
Councilmember Lockett.
Aye.
Councilmember Brown Sr.
Aye.
Councilmember Shainer. Councilmember Frazier. Councilmember Brunton.
Okay. That would be 2A. And then we have agenda items number 3, 4, 5, and 6 are all resolutions. And agenda item number 6, you have the amendment for agenda item number 6. So that gives us a total 7 agenda items. If there's no question, that concludes ordinance and resolutions.
Okay. Thank you, Councilmember Holcomb.
Yes, ma'am.
Economic and Community Development, Councilmember Brown Sr.
Thank you, Mayor. There's no report. However, I would like to say that, wow, this has been a quick year. It's almost over. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Councilmember Brown. Public Health and Welfare, Councilmember Frazier.
I have no report, Mayor. We will have our next meeting on Thursday, the 14th at 11.
Would that be hybrid?
Yes, it'll be, it'll be Zoom only. I will be out of town, so it'll be Zoom only.
Okay, 11 a.m.?
Yes.
Okay, thank you, Councilmember Frazier. Public Works, Councilmember Shainer.
Thank you, Mayor. Public Works has not met since our last meeting. We will have one more meeting before, well, we'll have one meeting in November and probably one in December. So I will let the city clerk know about the meeting in November.
Okay, thank you.
That concludes my report.
Thank you, Councilmember Shainer. Development and Planning, Councilmember Lockett.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. The Development and Planning Committee met today at 4:30 p.m. to vet item number 2A, which the committee moved to the council with a due pass, an ordinance providing for the rezoning of certain properties, certain territories in the city of Pine Bluff. That concludes my report, Madam Mayor. The next Development and Planning meeting will be Wednesday at 1 o'clock in the old City Council chambers and via Zoom. That concludes my report.
Okay. And that was, what day was that again?
That was Wednesday at 1 o'clock.
This Wednesday?
This Wednesday, day after tomorrow.
Okay. Thank you, Councilmember.
Councilmember Lockett, what time was your committee?
1 o'clock, if that doesn't conflict, Madam City Clerk. Do we have anything else on Wednesday? It's not a normal day. I'm moving it because of the election. I'm usually the Tuesday after. Do we have a conflict?
Well, I typically have my public safety at 1:30.
At 1:30?
But,
Let me see.
if you want to go ahead and have it, maybe I could push mine back to 2. If you think you need more than an hour.
No. Director, like, how much business do we have on the agenda for? And then we have one ordinance putting liens. We can be out by 1:30.
Okay.
We can be out.
Okay.
What time, Bruce?
1 o'clock on Wednesday, Old City Council Chambers and via Zoom.
All right. So yours is at 1 o'clock,
1 o'clock.
and you're going to move yours to?
No, he said I can keep it at 1:30.
Okay.
Yeah, 1:30.
All
We'll
right.
be out by 1:30.
Okay, all right, good. Okay, Traffic and Aviation, Councilmember Bronson. Thank you.
That's where the liens were going to be brought before council and
No, ma'am.
No.
Now, that is the committee that oversees code enforcement, but what we need is to have a powwow with you and the mayor and the code enforcement director to get everybody on the same page. My committee meeting wouldn't allow us the kind of time that we would need to flush out what you're dealing with. What we got to deal with is where did the liens come from, who puts them on there. It's pretty extensive.
We need to schedule a special meeting.
Yeah, it may
to
be
meet with you.
a series of meetings.
No.
clear on that.
Yeah.
However, on the agenda for today, it's listed 2 properties are listed.
We're going to address that tonight when we get into, ma'am, give us just a few minutes. We're going to address that later when we get to ordinances and resolutions on our agenda. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Thank you. Now, I'm not saying we'll get into all the details, but what you're talking about that should be in this packet is later in the agenda, on the agenda. Okay? All right. Thank you. Okay. Traffic and Aviation, Councilmember Bronson.
Thanks, Mayor. Traffic and Aviation, we actually had a meeting scheduled today, but we had to reschedule, so we're going to reschedule for Thursday. I will get with the clerk on the time, and I'll send it out to everyone, so we'll know what time. But it'll be a hybrid meeting in the old City Council chambers and via Zoom.
Okay.
And that concludes my report.
Thank you, Councilmember Bronson. Administration, Councilmember Holcomb Jr.
Thank you, Mayor. The Administration Committee will hold its regular scheduled meeting next Tuesday, November the 12th, 4:30 p.m. That meeting will be Zoom.
4:30 p.m.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, sir. That concludes my report.
Okay. Thank you, Councilmember Holcomb. Public Safety, Councilmember Brown Jr.
Thank you, Mayor. Public Safety has not met since our last council meeting, but we will meet on this Wednesday at 1:30 in the old council chambers. And then also from the fire department, that monthly report is in front of all the council members, so you can have a chance to take a look at that. If you have any questions or anything, then just either let us know or let the chief know, and we can get those answered. But I just want to make y'all aware that this monthly report's in front of you. And that concludes my report.
Okay. Thank you. At this time, I'm going to pause and share our announcements for today. Tomorrow, let's all remember that tomorrow, November 5th, is Election Day. You can go to voterview.rnova.org to find your precinct and your polling site, if anybody is in question. If you need additional information, please call the Jefferson County Courthouse at 870-541-5322. On Monday, November 11th, the city will be closed in observance of Veterans Day as we celebrate all of our veterans of foreign wars. UAPB Blood Drive will be on campus Wednesday, and this is at UAPB, November 13th, from 10 to 2 p.m. Look for the blood mobile that will be parked on the campus. The city will be closed on November 27th through the 29th for Thanksgiving holidays. Mark your calendars for December 3rd. December 3rd at 5:30 p.m. for the Downtown Christmas Parade. For more information, please contact Mary Liddell at 870-643-2383. And that's December 3rd, our annual Christmas parade. Those are our announcements for this evening. Now we'll move into our proposed ordinances and resolutions. Councilmember Mays with Councilmember Holcomb substituting.
Agenda item number 1, an ordinance amending Division 2 and Article 2 of Chapter 13 of the Code of Ordinance of the City of Pine Bluff, Arkansas, to require any person or entity subject to the advertising and promotion tax to obtain a permit from the Advertising and Promotion Commission to lawfully do business in the City of Pine Bluff, Arkansas, authorizing the Advertising and Promotion Commission to issue such a permit, providing for a penalty for failure to obtain the permit, and for related purposes, up for the third and final reading.
An ordinance amending Division 2 and Article 2 of Chapter 13 of the Code of Ordinances of the City of Pine Bluff, Arkansas, to require any person or entity subject to the advertising and promotion tax to obtain a permit from the Advertising and Promotion Commission to lawfully do business in the City of Pine Bluff, Arkansas, authorizing the Advertising and Promotion Commission to issue such a permit, and providing for a penalty for failure to obtain the permit and for related purposes.
Move for adoption.
Second.
Yeah.
Sir, you're out of order. You're out of order. Thank you. You're out of order. It has been moved and properly second that an ordinance amending Division 2 in Article 2 of Chapter 13 of the Code of Ordinances for the City of Pine Bluff, Arkansas, to require any person or entity subject to the advertising and promotion tax to obtain a permit from the Advertising and Promotion Commission to lawfully do business in the City of Pine Bluff, Arkansas, authorizing the Advertising and Promotion Commission to issue such permit, providing for a penalty for failure to obtain the permit, and for related purposes be approved. The floor is open for discussion. Any questions?
I really,
Councilmember, I'm sorry,
First to answer
Frazier.
Julia Lever's question. It was read.
Thank you, Mr. Lever.
It was read for the audience's notification. It was read in full the first time of reading.
Stop, man.
Second, I know I had some concerns with this before in reference to notification and letting the businesses and stuff know, and I know that you all have changed it to put that no action shall be brought or penalty imposed pursuant to Section 5 hereof before April 1st, 2025, giving people a chance to be notified. But I still have some concerns in here with Section 3 and a few other things. But I have a question. So this means that they have to get a business license, an occupation license, and then an advertising and promotion permit?
And it's no cost.
I mean, but what is the purpose? Because from what I understand, the business, the collector's office is supposed to, if it's done correctly, should be able to gather all the information and the taxes and stuff that we're supposed to be receiving. So is this, I'm just a little confused.
Madam Mayor. Madam Mayor, can I address that? Yes. Basically, what this is requiring, is my mic on? There's a state law that says that if you sell food and you provide temporary housing, meaning that if you are a hotel or a bread and breakfast, that you are by law to submit to this A&P tax. What the A&P Commission is trying to do, they're trying to keep from having to hunt these establishments down. They're saying it's the simplest thing is if the city works with A&P to have the collector tell the individuals who are doing food and short-term lodging that before you get an occupational permit, you go and get an A&P license. Therefore, you are registered with A&P, and A&P doesn't have to scour the whole town looking for new food trucks, restaurants, hotels, and these types of things. So there's no, people can't really get away from this because you're obligated to pay this. So this is not something that we're putting on people. It's a free permit. It's really a clerical mechanism whereby that if we, the city, know that if a person comes in and says, I want to do a restaurant, we know those people must pay A&P their hamburger tax. We're only saying, go register with A&P, come back and get your license, and then we'll have something, it'll be worked out where A&P doesn't have to find those persons, right?
And again, I'm not talking about the tax. I understand the law for the tax, the collecting of the tax. That's not my problem. That's not my issue. I just feel like it's something that should be done by the collector's office. The collector's office can simply give A&P all the new businesses, all the existing businesses that are operating in the city of Pine Bluff, that are hotels or restaurants that's supposed to pay towards this tax. I'm just not understanding why we have to do this. That's my own thing. So we can just vote. I'm not going to talk about it no more, but I don't know if anybody else have anything to say, but that's all I had to say about it.
I have something to say.
Councilmember Mays.
Thank you, Mayor. Now, Section 5, a person or entity who fails to obtain the permit required of this ordinance is guilty of a misdemeanor, and upon conviction thereof shall be no less than $500 or more than $1,000. Really?
It's a free permit. It is a free permit. You're not paying for the permit. It is free. Mr. Lever, you're out of order.
You have to. The citizens don't know this. We know this. You know, that's why citizens don't want to start a business here or whatever, because they're not informed all the way.
This will inform them. They have to have an A&P permit if they're selling prepared food items. So in order to get a business permit, you have to have this A&P permit. It's free. It does not cost. Mr. Lever, you're out of order for the second time.
Caesar, be quiet, man.
Mr. Lever, Mr. Lever, Mr. Lever, you are out of order, sir. You are out of order. Please have a seat, sir. Please have a seat, sir. Please have a seat. Please have a seat.
They're not gonna read it. See,
We have read the whole ordinance. The first reading that we had. By law, we only need to read the first time the whole ordinance. So we've done it.
Caesar.
But democracy has to be stood up for. All of us should be standing up for. The whole world laughing in the mirror.
Mr. Lever. Mr. Lever. Mr. Lever. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, sir.
Alderman Mays, that's something the judge is going to decide. We don't have no say over what is going to be charged, I don't believe. If they do not pay their taxes, it's going to be a legal situation. So that's not the part that I'm really, because if you don't pay, you are going to have a penalty, and you should have a penalty. But
I think personally, A&P should have a better grip on this, working with the city council.
Well,
They want to find everybody.
with the collector's office.
Let me finish. They want to sit back. A&P like they the boss of Pine Bluff.
That's not what they're doing.
I think, are there any other comments?
Yes, and I think that everybody's trying to make this a little bit more than what it really is. In the past, I've served on A&P for years, and so in the past, businesses have opened, and sometimes those businesses may open, and the collector's office does not either inform them about the A&P tax, or they don't give them the information about it, or what have you. And so you have a lot of businesses that have opened that should be paying the tax and aren't aware. Maybe they aren't aware of the tax, and so they're not remitting that tax. Mr. Lever.
Mr. Lever.
Mr. Lever. Mr. Lever.
Thank you, Mr. Lever.
How much money A&P get? They're low on out. So who knows?
This is A&P working with us.
So what this does is it allows, if a person is trying to open a business that sells prepared food, A&P will know on the front end who those businesses are, and so they don't have to track those businesses down later on after the fact. And so in order to obtain that business license, then they have to get this permit. The permit is free. It does not cost anything. But what that does is it lets that business be aware that they should be collecting and remitting that tax. That's really all it is. There's nothing else to it. There's no, hidden anything. It's just the fact that when a business opens up to sell prepared food items, they have this permit. They know to collect the tax. They know to remit the tax.
Right, and I get that piece as well. I just do think that the collectors department should do their job in notifying those businesses. And for clarity purposes, if they don't get the A&P tax, the small business, that means they can't operate as a business.
Well, this is what this does.
Right, I'm just saying, like, if they, right, but they can't. Let's put it out there as what it is. If they don't get the A&P tax before they get their permit, they can't operate as a business.
Correct.
Okay, so that also needs to be known. Like, these are things that they have to do. So, I mean, I get it, but I also get that I feel like people who need to do the job that they need to do in the position they're in, they need to do that. Because we're creating barriers on top of barriers when all people had to do was do what they needed to do in the beginning.
And Councilmember, I totally understand where you're coming from. I mean, but for years, A&P has tried to do that, and then sometimes things just get kind of lost in there. And so this really cleans up the process. So that way, if that business does open, they know they have to have this permit before they can get the occupation license. And so it really makes it easier for the collector's office to say, okay, do you have your A&P permit? Do you have these requirements? And then we'll issue your business license. So it really makes it easier on them to know that they have to have this, rather than they issue the business license, business opens up, they operate for 6 months, sell prepared food items, and then later find out that they should have been collecting A&P tax all along. And so it actually makes it better for that business getting started, so they'll know exactly what they're getting into.
Well, they should invite A&P out anyway.
Well, I think so, but I think, when we don't hold people accountable, then we start putting in measures and we still not holding people accountable for what they need to be doing, so.
Talk to that mic.
I said, we put up barriers when we should just be holding people accountable. So we're adding barriers when we should just be like, do your job and make sure they know what they need to do. Right. When we don't do that, then we're creating a ripple effect of things, making it more work for people when all you have to do is say, make sure they get this done when they come in this office.
Well, that's what.
I know, Councilman Brown, I get it, but that's my piece on it. I just feel like we create barriers for small businesses. These are already small businesses. They already have, challenges and things that they're trying to do, and then on top of all of that, we're creating another barrier when we can just tell the collector to make sure that they are, people know who need to know that they are business in the city. My 2 cents, I'm done.
What she's saying is we need to be more business friendly to our businesses. Not making it complicated. People don't want to come here.
Is the collector's office the clearinghouse for these three?
Talk to that mic.
I'm sorry?
The collector's office, the city collector's office is the clearinghouse for these three?
No, they don't collect the tax. A&P collects the tax. But what's happened in the past is, and I'm not saying that happens every time, but sometimes businesses open and they don't remit the tax. Either they're not collecting it and not remitting it because they don't know, or they're just collecting it and not remitting it at all. And so this permit process actually cleans it up, lets them know on the front end, you are responsible for this. And so they'll collect the tax, remit the tax. And so it won't be any confusion 6 months or a year down the road. Let's just say if A&P finds out about them
a year after they open. And so now they've gone a whole year operating, either not collecting the tax and remitting it, or collecting the tax and not remitting it. But either way, that business will be liable for those taxes because they've sold prepared food items for a year. Whether they had that knowledge or not, they're still responsible for it.
But can it be a one-stop shop?
I mean, they would.
Yes, all three are collected and the collector's office remitted to AMP?
Well, I think the way the law is set up, the AMP has to collect the tax. Yes, ma'am.
AMP collects its own.
Yeah, ma'am, I just want to make a point that when one's doing business, now this is not the only requirement. Now, if you're preparing food before you can get an occupational license, you're going to have the health department inspection. You're going to have zoning inspection. So this is just another form that you have to get. You know, if you're a private club, you got to have your ABC license before you get your occupational tax. So what we're doing is saying to a person that does lodging and prepared food, there are a series of permits you must remit to us before you can get that final occupational tax that allows you to do business.
Well, I know the collectors can't collect the tax for them, but can they not create the permit and give it out of there and let the AMP collect the taxes? I mean, it has to be a better way than this.
And she's right, it has to be a cleaner way to do business for people in the city of Pine Bluff. They don't want to get out. We're making things complicated for a business owner to come here. And then that discourages them, and they stop, you know?
Any more discussion?
No, I'm just saying,
Councilmember Brown Jr.
Yeah. My thing is this, you know, if you're in business, then of course, you know, you're going to have to pay certain fees and taxes and things like that. I'm trying to understand the points that you all are trying to make, but are we trying to make it so people will pay the tax or will not pay it? And so that's my question. If you're not going to require them to obtain a permit to do business, then, you know, why do we do any permits? Why even have a permit to do business at all? You know, so I guess it comes down to the question of, are we saying that we just don't want people to have to get a permit to pay the AMP tax? Do we not want people to get a permit to do business within the city of Pine Bluff? Do we not want people to get a permit to sell food items through the health department? I mean, what exactly are we trying to get to here? Because it feels like people are saying, well, nobody's going to do business here if they have to get the AMP permit. Well, they still have to collect the tax and remit it. And so this just puts it out there so they'll know that they have to collect and remit this tax. It's a free permit. It does not cost them a penny. They just have to get it.
And I think we're saying the same thing, but just want a different method.
I understand. And to your point, for years, A&P has tried to work with the collector's office on doing it the way you're suggesting, and it has not worked, and so that's why we're here.
Well, then if people are not doing their job,
A&P cannot control what the city collector's office does.
Well,
all we can do is try to find a way to make it more efficient.
When people in the departments are not doing their job, then they need to be looked at and replaced, maybe,
but
to do the job.
A&P has no control over that.
I'm not saying A&P. I'm just saying, but we need to have departments that's doing their jobs.
Understood, but this is where we are now.
And we need to fix that. I mean, until we fix that, nothing we put in place is going to be any better because people still won't be doing their jobs.
And I'll say
but
this.
I'm done. I'm ready to vote.
Well, I'll say this: you got A&P. If they got a checklist, and they got to have 5 places on that paper for a checklist. They need to have a checklist.
They need to know who's doing business first. That's the whole point.
Well, I understand that.
Okay. So this is what this is for. So they can keep track of who is opening and operating a prepared food establishment. This is the point of it.
So when we look at some of the points that have been made, what we're doing here is adding another layer. And people have not been paying the AMP taxes sometimes as they should, primarily because, we're saying that AMP doesn't know who to contact because nobody is giving them a list of. And I agree with Councilmember Frazier, in that when they get the business license, A&P needs to let, I'm sorry, the collector
Let
should
A&P
let
know.
A&P know.
Right.
Because if nobody lets them know, how will A&P know who should be getting that license? And how will the business person know that they're supposed to go to A&P? So I don't see that adding this layer is going to make a big difference.
It will make a big difference because they would not be able to obtain a business license without this permit.
Will they know that?
Yes.
So we have to make sure, because right now, the collector's office is issuing the business permit.
Yes, ma'am.
So if the collector's office issues the business permit, why couldn't they let A&P know that they've issued a business permit to BFS Chicken?
Well, Mayor, that's been kind of how they've been operating all this time, but sometimes it just does not happen.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Are there any other questions or comments?
No.
If there are no other questions or comments, looking at ordinance number 1 on our agenda, let's vote. All in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
No.
Aye.
Any opposed?
No.
Roll call, please.
Councilmember Mays?
No.
Councilmember Holcomb?
Aye.
Councilmember Brown Jr.?
Aye.
Councilmember Lockett?
Aye.
Councilmember Brown Sr.?
Aye.
Councilmember Shaner?
Aye.
Councilmember Frazier?
No.
Councilmember Brunson?
No.
Okay, the vote is 5-3. Okay. Ordinance 3 passes 5-3. 5 in favor of, 3 noes.
Mayor, can I say something in reference to the disruption that we had in the audience? I want to say this real quickly and then I'll be done. When I was on the quorum court, it was times when they did not read the ordinance or resolution at all. One of the members of the quorum court asked the judge, can we just read by title only tonight? And it was voted yes. So not all the time, but I do agree that reading it one time is very important because it could say we're going to burn your house down at 10 o'clock. But it's not necessary that we read it entirety 3 times. I just wanted to say that. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilman Holcomb.
Agenda item number 2, an ordinance to close a portion of east-west alley located in the 700 block of Mulberry Street between Linden and Mulberry Street up for the second reading.
An ordinance to close a portion of the east-west alley located in the 700 block of Mulberry Street between Linden and Mulberry Streets.
Suspend the rules and place this ordinance on its third and final reading.
Second.
It's been moved and properly second that we suspend the rules and place this ordinance on its third and final reading. Roll call, please.
Councilmember Mays?
Aye.
Councilmember Holcomb?
Aye.
Councilmember Brown Jr.?
Aye.
Councilmember Lockett?
Aye.
Councilmember Brown Sr.?
Aye.
Aye.
Councilmember Shaner?
Aye.
Councilmember Frazier?
Aye.
Councilmember Brunson?
Aye.
An ordinance to close a portion of the east-west alley located in the 700 block of Mulberry Street between Linden and Mulberry Streets.
Move for adoption.
Second.
It's been moved and properly second that an ordinance to close a portion of the east-west alley located in the 700 block of Mulberry Street between Linden and Mulberry Streets be approved. The floor is open for discussion. Questions? Hearing none, all in favor of this ordinance, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Ordinance approved.
Agenda item 2A, an ordinance providing for the rezoning of certain territory in the city of Pine Bluff, Arkansas, 3300 block of Taylor Phillips Road, up for the first reading.
Whereas the City of Pine Bluff Planning Commission held a public hearing on October 29, 2024, as provided for in Section 6, Act 186 of the statutes of the state of Arkansas, the purposes of which was to hear any and all persons interested in amending the zoning ordinance of the City of Pine Bluff by providing for the rezoning of certain property. And whereas it has been expressly stated by the City Council of the City of Pine Bluff that the zoning ordinance should be amended to provide for the rezoning of said property. Now therefore be it ordained by the City Council of the City of Pine Bluff, Arkansas, Section 1, that the following described property be, and the same is hereby established and defined, AR, agricultural residential, for all future purposes as set forth and defined in the zoning ordinance. Section 2, all ordinances and parts of ordinances in conflict herewith are hereby repealed to the extent of such conflict.
Suspend the rules and place this ordinance on the second reading.
Second.
It's been moved and properly second that we suspend the rules and place this ordinance on its second reading. Roll call, please.
Councilmember Mays.
Aye.
Councilmember Holcomb.
Aye.
Councilmember Brown Jr.
Aye.
Councilmember Lockett.
Aye.
Councilmember Brown Sr.
Aye.
Councilmember Shaner.
Aye.
Councilmember Frazier.
Aye.
Councilmember Brunson.
Aye.
An ordinance providing for the rezoning of certain territory in the city of Pine Bluff, Arkansas, the 3300 block of Taylor Phillips Road.
Move we suspend the rules and place this ordinance on its third and final reading.
Second.
It's been properly moved and second that we suspend the rules and place this ordinance on its third and final reading. Roll call, please.
Councilmember Mays.
Aye.
Councilmember Holcomb.
Aye.
Councilmember Brown Jr.
Aye.
Councilmember Lockett.
Aye.
Councilmember Brown Sr.
Aye.
Councilmember Shaner.
Aye.
Councilmember Frazier.
Aye.
Councilmember Brunson.
Aye.
An ordinance providing for the rezoning of certain territory in the city of Pine Bluff, Arkansas, the 3300 block of Taylor Phillips Road.
Move for adoption.
Second.
It's been moved and properly second that an ordinance providing for the rezoning of certain territory in the city of Pine Bluff, Arkansas, 3300 block of Taylor Phillips Road be approved. The floor is open for discussion.
Madam Mayor,
Councilmember Lockett.
this has been vetted through the, our planning commission, and it drew no opposition, and it's a natural extension of what the property owner has been doing with the property.
Okay. Any other questions, comments? Hearing none, all in favor of this ordinance, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Ordinance approved.
Agenda item number 3, a resolution approving an agreement with Tyler Technologies to provide professional services and software for the city.
Whereas the city wishes to continue and extend its relationship with Tyler Technologies for professional technology services, and to this end, an agreement which exhibits the attachments germane to the city's needs has been prepared and reviewed by city officials with the scope of services and provision of software and matters relating thereto set forth in detail. And whereas the terms of the agreement and the considerations specified are in the best interest of city government, and the agreement as presented with its exhibits and attachments should be approved. Now therefore be it resolved by the City Council of the City of Pine Bluff, Arkansas, that the terms, specifications, conditions, and consideration delineated in the attached agreement with Tyler Technologies Incorporated, together with the exhibits and attachments thereto, the whole of which constitutes a contract to provide professional technology services and software to the city, is approved. The contract is incorporated herein by reference as if fully set forth. The mayor is authorized to sign the document where needed, and the city clerk is authorized to attest the mayor's signature as required.
Move for adoption.
Second.
It's been moved and properly second that a resolution approving an agreement with Tyler Technologies to provide professional services and software for the city of Pine Bluff be approved. The floor is open for discussion.
Madam Mayor,
Yes, sir.
is this the New World replacement?
Yes.
Okay.
New World is being phased out, and Tyler Technologies will be that replacement. And we'll go through that process, hopefully, with the implementation beginning January of 2025. Now,
Yes, I have something. City Clerk, are you for this? I mean, and the city clerk is authorized to attest the mayor's signature as required.
I have not been in on any of the transition of the, but New World. New World is a process that we're currently involved with.
Your office.
Yes, sir.
All right.
And we haven't gotten into the transition yet. That won't start until 2025. One thing we know is that we do have to transition from New World because it's being phased out. And this is the company that actually owns New World. And when we did the research, we found that it's more feasible to stay with this company than to switch to another
All I'm
new
saying,
operation.
though, Mayor, is will it complicate city clerk's office?
No, sir, it should not.
But Councilman Mays, if we don't, we're gonna have to change to something.
Okay.
Because the software company is not gonna be supported anymore, so we're gonna have to definitely change.
Are there any other questions or concerns? Okay, let's vote. All in favor of this resolution, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Resolution approved.
Agenda item number 4, a resolution authorize a contract with Austin Construction Incorporated for work regarding the Barricue Park Pavilion project.
Whereas after public solicitation for bids for work regarding the Barricue Park Pavilion project, the firm of Austin Construction Incorporated submitted the lowest, most responsible bid to do the work. And whereas a contract should be executed with the firm for this purpose, now therefore be it resolved by the City Council of the City of Pine Bluff, Arkansas, that the mayor is authorized to execute a contract with Austin Construction Incorporated for work regarding the Barricue Park Pavilion project in the principal sum of $204,268, and for the terms and conditions found in the city solicitation and the vendor's bid submission, as well as other terms standard in the field for work of this nature.
Move for adoption.
Second.
It's been moved and properly second that a resolution authorizing a contract with Austin Construction for work regarding the Barricue Park Pavilion project be approved. The floor is open for a discussion.
Once again, Mayor, so where is Austin Construction, Inc. located?
I'm not sure. I want to say Little Rock, but I'm not 100% on that.
So are they a legitimate company?
Oh, yes, sir. Yes, sir. Mr. Matthews, you know where their headquarters is? I thought they were out of Little Rock, but I wasn't 100%. But yeah, Little Rock. And anytime we receive bids from companies of this nature, they're all have to produce business licenses, and they're all authorized to do business.
Just
Get that right.
$204,268, I guess. Mr. Matthews, you gonna make it work? You gonna make this work? I'm watching it too.
And when you look at that, with the cost of steel, there's a lot of steel. There's a lot involved in material here, so it's really not as much as it appears to be with the cost of materials on today's market. Any other questions? Okay, and hearing none, let's vote. All in favor of this resolution, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Resolution approved.
Agenda item number 5, a resolution authorizing the mayor to execute easements and right-of-way instruments in favor of Energy Arkansas for utility purposes.
Whereas Entergy Arkansas is in need of easements over city-owned property for utility purposes, and whereas facilitating the delivery of electricity to the city's industries, businesses, and homes is a vital public interest, and whereas the mayor should be authorized to execute and deliver easement deeds and rights-of-way instruments to Entergy Arkansas to advance this purpose. Now therefore be it resolved by the City Council of the City of Pine Bluff, Arkansas, that the mayor is authorized to execute easement deeds and rights-of-way instruments for the city with respect to the properties described in the attachments in favor of Energy Arkansas for utility purposes and for the consideration specified for each conveyance. The city clerk is directed to attest the mayor's signature as needed.
Move for adoption.
Second.
It has been moved and properly second that a resolution authorizing the mayor to execute easements and rights-of-way instruments in favor of Energy Arkansas for utility purposes be approved. The floor is open for discussion.
Mayor,
Yes, sir. Councilmember Brown.
it may be a question for someone else. How many feet is the right-of-way? It may be a question for somebody else. Mr. Matthews, thank you.
I'm not sure. Some easements are 6 feet, some are more. But Mr. Matthews is the public works person who deals with that.
Good afternoon, Council.
Good afternoon.
Right of ways vary for different streets, but these particular easements are going with the I-190 project that the Highway Department is doing for 6th Street and for Franklin. And as you well know, we're putting in new curbs, gutters, sidewalks. And Entergy has to get out the way of the Highway Department project.
Right.
So in doing so, they are encroaching upon some city properties at different locations. So I'm not quite sure as to how much right-of-way is on Franklin and on 6, but they have to get out the way of the Highway Department. Thus, they have to buy easements from us.
Right.
Okay.
One more question. So can easement be at least 20 feet sometime in other areas?
Yes,
Okay.
As much as 30, 40
Okay.
feet. Just depends on how far they have to get out the way of the construction.
Thank you.
So you saying all this is coming through the 4th Ward, my ward?
If that's your location off of 6th and Franklin, that's the 4th Ward. That's where all the improvements, the Highway Department is doing it from Franklin all the way up to Blake. And once they complete it, they're going to turn it over to the city. So they're getting very close when they start asking for easements.
It is 4th Ward.
Yeah.
Bordering 3rd Ward.
Any other questions for Mr. Matthews? Thank you, Mr. Matthews. Okay. Any other questions or comments? Hearing none. All in favor? Is everybody here? Ms. Rachel down there?
She stepped out.
All right. Okay. Well, we'll still get a majority.
Here she come.
Where?
Let's go.
Okay.
Yeah, we getting a little long.
All right. All in favor of this resolution, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Resolution approved.
Agenda item number 6, a resolution providing for placement of costs of correcting certain nuisance on tax books as delinquent taxes and collected as such.
Whereas ACA 1454903.
Second.
Did we talk about this removal?
Yeah, I do. Yeah,
We got a motion in the second first, then we can.
Right, it's been moved in second.
Okay, it's been moved and properly second that we approve a resolution providing for placement of cost of correcting certain nuisances on tax books as delinquent taxes and collected as such. Now, the floor is open for questions.
Mayor.
I'm sorry.
Well, first thing, I know we have the amendment for agenda item number 6, but just because we have Ms., what's her last name?
Bloodman.
Ms. Bloodman here, and
Can
she's,
we address this and then that, or?
well, just hear me out. So I want to make an amendment that we remove these 2 items for now until we get better clarity on what her concerns are concerning these fees.
Second that.
Second, third, that.
Okay, go back to,
Oh, sorry, this is page 10. And at the very top, the first 2 at the top up there, Eagle John T. Jr. et al., those top 2 properties, want to amend that we remove those for the time being until we can get better clarity on what her concerns are
Ms.
there.
Bloodman, were those the only 2 that you had? Or, because you had more. You
On
said you
here.
had a total of 7.
Yeah.
There are 2 on here, but the others are not on here.
I'm not sure what it is you're reviewing.
Yeah.
The email that I received has.
Can we use the mic?
Okay, what we have is 2012 West 8th Street. And we have 803 Spruce Avenue.
That's correct.
Those are the 2.
But there are 3 others that are
Okay.
not listed on here.
Okay.
But I did receive this in an email on Friday from Ms. Hall advising me that they were going to come
forth, Ms.
today also.
Okay, so we're going to remove these 2. We're going to remove these 2 tonight. And then we'll address the others when we meet. Okay, all right. So,
She did here. It may be better for you to call the office in the morning.
when you
Yes,
say a
ma'am.
certain period, he's motioning to take
You
it
got-
off. They will be.
You have the number?
Not tonight.
Get the number.
No, no.
The number.
We want to address them tomorrow.
She said she gonna show up.
Oh, you understand that we will address all of this. We're removing them for tonight so that we can resolve this when we meet. Along with all the other issues also. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
I just want to add more to the confusion, so that's why we're taking them off for now. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Someone second your motion?
Did we get a second on that?
We did.
Okay.
On the remove, we got
So
a
it's been
second on the remove.
removed, it's been moved and second that we remove items number, I don't know if that's 1 and 4.
We'll just call items 1 and 4.
Page 10, the first two items on page 10 of this resolution number 6. All right.
Mayor, can they leave now, Mayor?
They can leave when they get ready.
We need to get our vote on the amendment.
Okay. All right. So let's vote on the amendment. All in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
All right. Any opposed? Okay.
All right, Madam Mayor. I'd like to make a motion to amend the amended version of this resolution to remove the 12 items that are presented in the memorandum.
Okay.
Second.
Get a second? Okay, it's been moved in second that we remove the 12 items in amendment number 6 that are presented before us on the document lien resolution, and there are 12 items there. All in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay.
Move to approve as amended.
Second.
Okay. It's been moved to approve as amended. All in favor of approving the amended item, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, approved.
Move we be adjourned.
Second.
Okay. Ms. Bloodman, I want to speak to you before you leave. Here you go.
Thanks, Chief. I know you already said. You did that, didn't you? You did. I listened. Okay. Where you gonna move to? You gonna move to? You could have won $100. I need my money now, because I said yeah.
Yeah, I was paying.